How do you see the performance of the new government? How do you see Britain now?
Britain now is disappointing, I'd say. The British public took a great leap in 2016 in saying that we didn't want to be part of the European Union. Unfortunately, we had a political class that would not agree to the beliefs of the people. And as a result, we've had almost a decade now of serious turmoil. And the Conservative government that was in charge for almost 14 years was inept, not very conservative. And the British public voted them out last year. The Starmer government has, as I see it, has no particular vision for the country, doesn't particularly understand the country, and is going to flail. And it has 4 more years to flail like a dying beast.
And do you think that it can mean also a change on the right, that the Tories are losing their leading role on the right side, conservative side of the political spectrum in Britain, and they can be replaced by the Reform Party, and Nigel Farage could be the big winner after this term?
Well, Farage has a lot of virtues. He, the old Isaiah Berlin thing about the hedgehog and the fox, you know, the fox knows many things, the hedgehog knows one important thing. Farage knew one important thing, EU, which was not really about the EU, it was about an issue of sovereignty. We had in Britain a tumultuous period for decades, which was, it came down to a central thing, which is who governs us? Are we in charge? Are we the electorate in charge? Who can we vote for? How can we vote them out? And so on. This was not an issue just of the EU, it was an issue of sovereignty. And Farage knew, and known for 30 years, that after Maastricht, Britain had a sovereignty question. And in 2016, we voted to reassert our sovereignty. Now, the politicians obviously bungled a lot of what came afterwards. But that's a very, it's an interesting thing in a person if they're right on the major thing. And Farage was right on the major thing. We wanted to know that when we went to the ballot box, the people we voted for, we could vote in, we could vote out. And he was right on that. He has to develop a wider, I would say, a wider set of ideas than he currently has. But he's speaking to a very interested public, because what you might call the mono-party of the notion that effectively whoever we vote for, it comes out the same way. You know, he can run against the mono-party, and there are several things that are very major in that. The most important is migration. It doesn't matter who you vote for, the migration always continues, and it always goes up. I think that Nigel has a great opportunity if he has a vision of how to reverse that. Not just to stop it, but how to reverse it. But to do that, he has to get a wider pool of talent, I think, than he currently has.
And do you think that he was right with Brexit? Was it a good decision? How would you summarize it after some years? What is the experience? Was it a mistake, or it had been better to stay in the EU, or it was it was the proper decision for Britain, and now it's going on
Well,
a more smoother way.
I think it was a proper decision because of this issue of sovereignty. It's key to the minds of many of us that the public have the right, and this was a left-wing view as well as a right-wing view in the past. It was key that when we go to the polls, we can vote for the people we want to be in power, and crucially, that we can vote out the people we don't want to be in power. So very important, just sovereignty. When we were in the EU, we could vote in elections nationally, but there was this other layer above us, above the people. And we didn't know who they were. We had no ability to vote for them. We couldn't get them out. I remember once being in a panel in Brussels and discovering that in the next door room, the EU was appointing a new foreign minister, a woman of fantastic lack of ability called Catherine Ashton. No one in Britain had ever heard of her. She had no track record or anything. And she became the EU foreign minister. But she wasn't even famous in her own household. And suddenly this person is representing Europe on the world stage. We didn't like that in Britain. And so there are countries, I recognize, and we're sitting in one of them, which accept the bargain of Brussels. We in Britain were not willing to accept that bargain. I think that was the right decision, but it's an interesting, formative, educating experience to see what happens when the public votes for something and the political class will not embed the vote. And that's what we had.